I hate when girls, especially my girlfriend, think that we're gonna leave them all the time. Oh, you're gonna leave me because I'm not good enough. Woman, I'm lucky I even got you. What do you mean? I am built like a twig. I look like every basic white boy with black hair. You are probably gonna be the first and last girlfriend I have. I'm hideous. I appreciate that you have enough confidence in me that you think I can pull another girl like that, but I really can't. You are stuck with me, because there is no way. Nobody's gonna be lined up at my door like, I wanna date him. I don't even know how you put up with me half the time. I'm lucky you even looked in my direction. What do you mean? What about I'm about to leave you? Where am I about to go? Walmart?
I haven't been to the toilet in 4 days and it was starting to worry me, so I went to the doctor's. I arrived and the doctor felt my stomach and said it was very hard. He wanted me to take a stool sample, which means you have to shit in the cup. I had coffee for breakfast, so I was pretty much ready to go. I grabbed the cup and went to the toilet and held it up to my ass and started pushing. I didn't realize how badly coffee affected me, and the next thing you know, a strong gust of diarrhea started blasting out of my ass and I felt like a rocket ready for takeoff. I grabbed onto the door for balance because I started levitating and the cup was already full, but I couldn't stop. I was holding onto the door for dear life and the shit was spitting out like a shotgun. I eventually stopped and looked at the glass cup of my shit and there were cracks all over the glass. I heard the desk lady shouting for everyone to get under the chair and to call the police. I got scared thinking what is going on outside, so I quickly cleaned myself up and rushed out of the bathroom to see everyone crying and hiding under the chairs because they thought there was an active shooter in the building. I said it was just my shit and everyone got up. Anyways, I have bowel cancer. When I was 14, I opened up my first Snapchat account and started adding people from my school. I was adding back so many random people because I wanted to look cool and make it seem like I have a lot of friends. I was still kinda new, but I got the hang of it pretty quickly. I arrived at school and was eating lunch when the quiet boy named Ethan, who wore a tail and hissed at people, came up to me and started twitching. I said, "Spit it out, you hybrid," and he said, "I added you on Snapchat and you added me back. Does that mean we are best friends now?" I low-key felt bad because I didn't really want to be his friend, but I just said okay so he wouldn't cry. He is a violent crier. I was leaving school and I saw him standing behind a tree watching me. He noticed that I spotted him, so he got out from behind the tree and started waving at me. I was too tired and didn't care at this point. I just wanted to get home, so I got on the bus and it began driving. And that's when I got a ding on my phone. It was from Ethan. He asked me if he can come over to hang out. I said absolutely not. I just want to be alone, sorry. And he said that's okay, I can comfort you. I'm on my way. I was confused, like on his way where? I didn't even tell him my address until I realized my Snap map was on. I got off the bus and ran inside my house and locked all the doors and windows. My stepmother was the only one home because my dad was at work and my brothers were at soccer practice. She asked me why I was all panicky and why I was locking everything, and I told her about Ethan. She said he sounds so sweet and caring and how I should be ashamed of myself for breaking a young man's heart. I said, "Shut up, step bitch," and I ran upstairs and locked my door. I could hear her reopening the windows and doors and I was literally near a panic attack. I was peeking out the window and that's when a cheap shitty old car pulled up in front of our house. I saw Ethan getting out of the backseat and then thanking whoever was driving the car. I couldn't see because the windows were completely black tinted. He walked to the front door with his backpack and began knocking. And that's when my step-whore excitedly opened the door and welcomed him inside. I heard him say, "Where is she?" and my step-tramp said, "She's upstairs fixing herself, so she looks pretty for you." He said thank you and began walking upstairs very slowly. At this point I hated my stepmother more than Ethan and I was furious. I had my phone in hand to call for someone if anything goes wrong. And the slow eerie creaking continued. I heard him on the top step outside my door, and that's when the silence was broken by my stepmother's horrifying shriek. I took that as my chance and I noped the fuck out of there and jumped out of my bedroom window, closing it behind me, and I landed in a bush. My stepmother was still in there, but I don't care, safety first. I had to worry about myself. So I ran to my neighbor's house and they let me in. I heard shit going down in there, like screaming and banging, and my neighbors started crying because they were scared for me and what was happening. I called the police and they showed up after 20 minutes and took me back inside my house. And that's where I saw my stepmother bleeding and limping. She said she saw Ethan standing right outside my door pulling a knife out of his backpack. And that's when she shrieked. That's when I jumped out the window. She said he heard me jump out, so he charged down the stairs towards the front door, and that's when my stepmother leaped in front of him, and he slashed her leg. She then fell on the floor, and she said instead of him running outside, he ran back upstairs and hadn't heard him since. He's still in the house. The police cautiously walked upstairs with me, trying to make as little sound as possible. Thank God my stairs up carpeted. We went into my bedroom and they found nothing, so they walked out to the next room. But I had a gut feeling I was not alone in there. My drawers were open and the clothes I folded that morning were now unfolded. I ran out of the room and told the police about what I just saw. And that's when my bedroom door slammed shut and locked. The police heard my door shut and they broke down the door and ran inside. and the window was wide open. We ran to the window and looked down to see Ethan pathetically laying on the grass with a twisted ankle and my underwear falling out of his pockets. The police arrested him, and when he was being questioned he said his intentions were to never hurt me. The police opened his backpack and found 19 different types of knives and blades. They then searched Ethan's house first, starting with his bedroom, and that's where they found posters of me on his wall and my sweaty gym clothes that were stolen from my locker at school. Ethan's brother Damien was home, who also turned out to be the one who drove him to my house in the tinted window car, and it turns out Damien was the one getting into Ethan's head, convincing him to do bad things. Damien was also arrested as he was considered an accomplice, and Ethan was later released because he was influenced and is technically only a kid. Stepbitch kept saying sorry to me for letting him inside and that I have to understand why she did, and I said understand the palm of my hand, bitch. My dad divorced my stepcow and we began moving back into our old house that we still owned. While I was cleaning out my room I was getting my spare keys for our old house that I kept in my candle, where I discovered they weren't there anymore. Ethan has the keys to our old house we are moving into, and he has just been released from jail. One morning I woke up to this really loud thud coming from my roof. It happened quite often, but I never really thought about it. The reason I never really thought about it was because I always thought it was a raccoon of some sort because it would always be shuffling around. I sat up and listened and the thud sounded like it was directly above my head. So I woke up my husband and told him I think there's something in the roof. He turned over grumpily and said it's nothing, go to sleep. So I did. I woke up early in the morning and prepared myself a bowl of cereal, and that's when I saw the empty milk carton sitting in the fridge. I knew for a fact it wasn't empty the day before because I used it while making a midnight snack. I told my husband about this and he said I'm starting to sound like a crazy person, so I just assumed I used it all and accidentally put it back in the fridge. Our day went on pretty normal until it was time for bed. It was a pretty hot night, so I decided to turn on the AC for a bit, and that's when I smelled this vile stench coming from the air ducts. The smell was unbearable for me. I physically couldn't stay in the room anymore, so I left and slept on the couch. My husband got up the next morning and angrily asked me why I slept on the couch, and I explained the bad smell coming from the air ducts. He got extremely mad and said he doesn't appreciate me making up sick lies just for an excuse to not sleep next to him. I kept trying to reassure him that's not what I was doing, and then he left the house in a rage. I stayed home and I was hearing shuffling coming from our roof again, but I was too scared to check and I couldn't ask my husband because he left me all by myself knowing how scared I am of this roof creature, and then he accused me of lying. He came home 6 hours later and he seemed to have been drunk, but I didn't care. I yelled at him and told him to go check inside the roof right now. He said fine, and he opened the air duct. I gave him my phone so he could look inside with the flash, but he kept saying he didn't see anything and that I'm just hearing things. So I grabbed my phone and looked inside the air duct myself. I turned my flash on and was greeted to a pair of human eyes. They quickly shuffled towards me and I screamed and closed the air duct and locked it. Then I fell backwards onto the floor. That foul smell filled the room again, and now my husband was taking this seriously. We considered calling the cops, but we live in the middle of the woods and the nearest police station is 1 to 2 hours away. The shuffling and stench continued, so we decided to take matters into our own hands and we grabbed our shotgun we keep in our gun cabinet. My husband then got inside the air duct and began crawling through it with the shotgun in hand, but he came out after 2 minutes and started vomiting from how bad the smell was. We made a plan to catch this person or thing living in our air duct. We know that it's eating our food as our fridge seems to get less full every day, so we decided to hide in the kitchen in the middle of the night. It was 3 a.m. and my husband and I were hiding inside a cupboard with the shotgun, and that's when we heard our air duct opening and seconds later our fridge. My husband jumped out and shot them in the foot, and it was indeed a human being. They fell to the floor screaming and it sounded like a woman's voice. We turned the lights on to reveal that it was my husband's crazy ex. She looked deranged and smelled like death. The police were called and they showed up 2 hours later and they took her away. She had been living in our roof for 2 months rent-free. We also told the police about the smell in our roof, and an officer went inside and brought out the rotting carcass of our pet cat that went missing 2 months ago. My husband's crazy ex took our cat and had been feasting on it in the vents for 2 months. She's serving 24 years. To start this story off, I've been hearing weird noises outside of my window every single night. It was like a click sound and it's very hard to describe. So lately I've been getting into Instagram to post selfies and chat with my friends. I got the hang of it pretty quickly and I started to be on it every day. The selfies were of me and my friends, bikini photos on the beach and etc. One day I got a text message from a guy from school that I didn't really talk to at all. He said, "Are you aware of the Instagram page right now?" I said, "I have no idea what you're talking about," and he sent me a link. I clicked it and it redirected me to an Instagram account, and the username was my full name and unseen photos after it. There was 250 posts and they were all photos of me that I didn't